start with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On to item C, approval of the agenda, which consists of the executive session board minutes, the board minutes, work study session board minutes, donations, financial claims and reports, personnel reports, and consent. Entertain a motion. And would you read the personnel report for us, please?
Yes, for recommendation for employment, we've got Allison Walsh at Morocco Elementary School. She's filling in for sixth grade, which would be it's outlined in the collective bargaining agreement and it is effective April 12th, 2021. For support staff, we've got Rebecca Hunt. She is a remediation and special education support staff at Lake Village Elementary School, effective March 29th, 2021. Extracurricular, we've got Mindy Degru. She's the student council at Lake Village Elementary School for the effective school year of 2020-2021. And then unfortunately, we've had Ronald Anderson. He was a part-time custodian here at Morocco Elementary School effective April 1st. He's no longer there because he is deceased. And that is the end of the personnel reports.
We have a clarification on Allison Walsh, that's a temporary contract, it's not a regular contract.
And that would be through the, anticipate the end of the school year, just that short period of time, about 6 weeks or so. Anything else, I some things on financial claims.
Yeah, I know, I think we need to vote on the actual agenda first,
Yeah, that's
right?
where we were.
Did I skip that? Sorry about that.
I know, I was looking at that one.
Okay, well, okay, so we have a motion and a second for the approval of agenda. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. And now the consent agenda, we've also just heard the personnel report, so I need a motion for the consent agenda.
Going to approve.
And now is there any discussion?
There was a question about, one of the board members had some questions about the performance services bill. And so just so you're aware of where we're at in the project, all architectural and engineering work has been completed at this time. We're about halfway through performance services. About $147,000 worth of work has been done for the pool. That includes some demolition. They've removed all the mechanical out of the basement. They've done some work to reroute piping for the system that we used to send water through the school for the fire cabinets that are no longer in service. All of Morocco Elementary LED has been completed. All the solar racking, solar modules and panels have been delivered on site. There is approximately 65% left of electrical work here at Morocco to connect all the inverters, so that still remains. Lake Village, all LED components except for the inverters have been installed. Inverters are not on site yet. LED has been completed. At Lincoln, 60% of our LED is completed. Modules are on site. With the 3 buildings, it also includes tree removal that's been taken care of thus far. And so there's still more work, but the question became as far as the performance services bill, what that would involve, and that's roughly what we have this month. So, yes.
That was the $1.some million.
Yes.
I had some other questions.
Okay, go ahead.
The interface flooring systems was new carpet for $20,862.35 was new carpet for the high schools. Where all did that go? I didn't follow up and ask that, but where all did that carpet go at the high school?
So I walked around with Mr. Coughing, Mr. Ellinger, Fern, Missouri. We went room by room, well, probably a couple weeks before spring break, and checked to see the status of carpet, paint, any other improvements that need to happen in each classroom. And so we have a list of classrooms that need to have carpet and paint done. So we were able to use money that we didn't spend in 2020 that we encumbered to take care of a lot of the carpet issues at the high school. There's some still carpet issues at Lake Village we need to take care of. I believe we have that on schedule a little bit too, so that's a plan for that.
And then FJF services for $3,325. That was at the high school, water, wastewater treatment plant, clarifier and reattached chain, clarifier, reattached chain, and fished out wrapped cable, and then they installed the new drain chain. And then the academic boosters, the $5,000, I knew that was a donation, but it has to come into the school corporation, and then you have to write a check to the boosters to send it to them for the scholarships. That was, okay. And then benchmark 68235, repair of leaked chilled water line in the high school kitchen. And then Midwest Transit, $5,345.22. There was 2 claims. One was to repair of a bus, and then the other was various parts to repair other buses. So was it just maintenance on that? There wasn't an accident or anything. Okay. Thank you. And then on the rainy day, on the fund report, for rainy day, it said that year-to-date revenue is $49,691.32. So where does that revenue come from?
Local option tax.
Local option tax. Thank you.
Any
That was
questions?
all I had.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you said that at Lake Village, that some of the carpet's gonna be updated eventually, is the library on the list? Okay, thank you. Just wanted to double check.
Yes, we were in there, was it last month, before you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just, as we get funds to be able to do these things, we need to tackle some of those places where the carpet's never been replaced, or it's been.
I think it's the like orange.
Yes.
Yeah.
And phosphorus and.
Any other questions? Not all in favor? Raise your right hand.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries 4-0. Next is board member and administrator reports. Who'd like to be first?
I'll go. Good evening.
Good evening.
So we just wanted to kind of update you, spring is definitely strong in the elementary schools. And since our last board meeting, our fifth graders took IREAD, which is a really crucial assessment for them. We had a pretty good pass rate, I think, very solid at about 80%, and we're confident that our kiddos that were not able to achieve that cutoff in the spring are going to be in a good position to do it in the summer session. We did have 7 kiddos that got a perfect score, so we're very proud overall of their growth and their progress this year. We're happy to at least try to squeeze in a little bit of a volleyball season. We were really concerned with COVID that we weren't going to be able to get any sports in this year. And it's pared down, but we are able to offer volleyball this year, and that makes us very happy to give our kids the opportunities. And we're really looking forward, I think, among the 3 of us, to be able to hopefully next fall, not have the restrictions and be able to offer the whole complement of extracurriculars that we've gotten used to putting in place and offering for our kids. We're headed into iLearn season, and so we'll be doing that 3rd through 6th grade here, starting April 19th, and that window extends through May 14th. And that's another one of those really large assessments that our kids have been preparing for throughout the year. Trying to think, I know we all have very similar reports, so I'll pause there and let them kind of pick up with some of the other pieces. Thank you very much.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
You guys know when you're gonna be able to get your gag outfit?
We have it.
I know you have it, is it up?
It is not up yet.
Okay.
I've talked with Tina, our custodian, about finding a place that's going to be the most flat position that doesn't necessarily take away from the pavement area where the basketball nets are. It's been such kind of iffy weather that it's been hard the ground has still been kind of frozen up and on, and we've really kind of not wanted to go in, but we actually just had a conversation last week about finding the perfect spot for it, and actually that was another thing. We all participate in Apples for the Students, which is when people bring in their grocery receipts. And so we were able, through everybody's generosity, the points don't go super far, but we were able to get some basic equipment for the playground. So we have hula hoops, some skibbits, foam baseball bats and foam baseballs and new bases, and some things in playground balls that are gonna work really awesome in that bag of film. We get it up here pretty soon. So thank you for the reminder. We are looking forward to getting all those things up and running, and outdoor recess is, I think, finally consistently here. So, thank you.
Hello. Morocco is doing a lot of the similar things that both of the other elementaries. We've been healing for the last week and a half or so. We had a lot of people affected by Mr. Anderson. And this week has started off really well, which is a great place to start. As for IREAD, for the whole district, we had 12 get perfect scores for the whole district between the 3 elementaries. So we're very proud of all of those guys. And we're going to be reaching out to those families and hopefully celebrating them next month with you.
Yeah.
So we're very excited there. And we are continuing to push forward with I Learn, just like everybody else. We're in the middle of NWA, finishing it up. Lots of testing right now. And that nice weather is helping aid into that because the kids can get outside and go and play and enjoy. We're hoping that our solar panels will be done here soon, so we can have access back to some of that put back into place. And we're really looking forward to just finishing strong as we push forward and continuing just to continue to grow. Thank you.
And then I'll just go as elementary before Terry because a lot of it is similar. But one thing I'd like to add that's specific to Lake Village is we are heading into our teacher appreciation month and stuff, or our week of, and next month, so I want to say. We are able to have our book fair, and since things are getting better, we can actually have some volunteers, just like we can have volleyball started, but it's families and the kids are playing mask. Our coaches have been working really well together. We have, at Lake Village, we've been working on our robotics team, and since we aren't going to competitions, Mrs. Hines is doing a robotics showcase with her own students. So they are paired off into teams, and this Wednesday, they're going to do it for their families in our cafeteria, and they're going to have their own little competition. So we've got ribbons and things like that to let them have that experience, even though we can't go to a fully competition. Just, there's hope, I want to say, like, there's this feeling of hope, even with the pending testing. But, you know, spring is here, things are getting better, so we just want to continue to do that. It is very imperative that, you know, our students and our staff and our community, that we continue to stay safe and keep washing up, keep masking up so we can stay in school and keep everybody where they need to be so we can keep these wonderful things happening. We're looking forward to, it's kind of that crazy time where you are fixing up and getting excited for things that are wrapping up in the new year, but then also looking for our future of where we are headed. And I just kind of want to brag a little bit. I'm super excited. We've had a lot of new faces at Lake Village, many new students coming in. In 1 week, I think we added like 5 new students coming into our classes. There are more that are calling every day. All of us, we get the kindergarten Google forms, and our numbers are looking amazing. So I just love to see that because this is a great place to learn and grow here in North Newton, and to see more kids coming. So if you're writing for the paper, keep having babies. So have move here. Right, so this is where we want to be, and it's just it's encouraging to see, and parents are calling in like January, are they kindergarten registration yet? I don't know if that always happens, or if it's just COVID and they're ready, but then you go somewhere. But I'm looking forward to the new faces coming, and then the new, kindergartners that are on the way too. So we'll be continuing our kindergarten screenings. We're doing early entrance screenings at our schools first. That early entrance means for kids who, are just at that cutoff, because August 1st is the cutoff, but if they're wanting to go a little bit behind, then we get them screened with our kindergarten teachers, and we have a committee meet. And then in August, or not August, don't erase that. In July, we're gonna have our kindergarten teachers actually do the full kindergarten screening for everybody, so we are closer to the school year starting, because as you know, 3 months can change a lot in a 4 or 5-year-old's life, right? So we have that, but just, again, kind of hope and wonder as we're going on to our future. Thank you.
Now, the parents that have signed up,
Yeah.
that did the pre-registration, have they been notified of when the screenings? Because I just had a parent ask me the other day. They
Yeah,
wanted to know
so
what was
just,
going on.
Friday, we finished up our letters and our packets like similar to last year, where we passed out, we mailed out packets of, information, our calendar that's coming, the screenings that are going to be happening, how to get your kid ready for kindergarten, some coloring sheets. We have, all 4 of our mascots and different things like that, so everybody will be getting that, spoiler alert.
Okay.
So.
Okay, got mail coming.
Yeah, so, we had that, and I'll volley that to Dr. Rowe, I'm not sure if yeah.
They're about ready to be mailed out, so
Yeah.
probably this week or so. It should be coming out. So anybody that's, has a kindergartner, they need to contact the corporation office or the buildings and the buildings and kind of get them the information.
Do we have a guesstimate of how many incoming kindergartners we've got across all three?
So for Lincoln, I have about 21, Lincoln about 28, Lakeville's about 21, and Morocco about 14. So those are roundabout numbers, some people do multiple different times, and back their numbers out, but, it's kind of what we were last year, and then we had more at Lincoln that came actually after that, so those are probably.
And then like Village last year, with our survey, we were at like 10, and we had 25 this year. So like, sometimes there's just coming, and we kind of have like, some kindergartners coming, but haven't filled out that form, and, so spread the word, go to the website, fill out the form, or if you know anybody.
And if somebody's from out of district, they're still supposed to sign up, but then we have to approve them. Now,
Yes.
if they've signed up already, like called into the stuff, are they gonna get a packet already, or?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And we have a few of those that live out of our district that want to bring their kindergartners,
Yes.
and so we already included them, and we have their information ready to send them.
Exciting. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
I want to thank the elementary principals for the weekly newsletters. It's very
Oh,
informative to know what's going on.
Thank you.
I'm filling in for Mr. Coffey, I had an MRI, so, Mrs. Hankins mentioned the Teacher Appreciation Week. We're doing the same thing, we have different clubs each day, do something for the teachers, like FFA may do a car wash, things like that. We're doing so once car wash, bring it out. NWEA testing we're working on, we had Arrive Alive last week, I think Diane, Debbie, had a lot to do with this. It was really a neat atmosphere. We had a nice day. I think South Newton maybe didn't have a very good day to have, but it was outside and had them broken down into 15, 18 kids in a group. I went out and got stuck behind the wheel and, the kids said, "Hey, Mr. Taylor, you do it." So I thought, man, you talk about an eye-opening experience. And I think for the kids, it was, so I appreciate the opportunity to do that. Maybe every couple of years, it'd be nice to do that. Prom's coming up. If you don't have a date, May 1st, it's gonna be a roll. Band's been successful. They had the junior high, I believe. Also, the concert's coming up April 20th. So put that on the calendar. Spring sports are off to a good start and going. We got 6th graders coming over to learn about the high school, to learn about Mr. Taylor and things like that on May 19th. Graduation is June 6th. Right now, we're planning on inside, but in case we have to go outside, we'll have that planned as well. Okay?
Thank you very much. have some information. So, Performance Services has been doing a generator review and should give us a report here shortly. We asked them to come and look at our generators to make sure they were performing as they're supposed to. I think this kind of goes back to that last fall when we had, it was actually a school board meeting night and the electricity went out. We had no way to call anybody, the phones didn't work. I couldn't get back in to change the doors when Karen and I left. Front door of Morocco with latch closed, everybody else is gone. And it's like 9 o'clock at night and the door won't close, I mean, you could just, it was open, and so we had that Corey come and take it apart and fix it and that kind of thing, so, we'll look forward to their report. I'll share with you kindergarten roundup numbers. Right, so anybody who is not 5 by August 1st, we do have a waiver process, so if someone has an August 6th birthday, let's say, there's a form you fill out, as a parent, you'd explain what it is that child's been doing, that you feel that they're ready for kindergarten developmentally or academically. And then we'll have kindergarten teachers at the buildings screen those students and determine if it's developmentally appropriate for that child to start kindergarten. And then they'll be notified at the 1st of June whether that student has been, I will notify them if they've been recommended for early entrance to kindergarten. And then the rest of the students who are 5 by August 1st will be screened at the end of July by the kindergarten teachers. The kindergarten teachers wanted to get a good idea of the students that are coming in and their abilities and developmentally, if they're, if they've been read to and if they understand print, concepts of print and that kind of thing. I did get information to Pat about the superintendent evaluation, so we're in the midst of doing principal evaluations, teacher evaluations, support staff evaluations. That's a familiar process that we do as well this time. Doesn't have to be finalized. Mine would be finalized with everybody else's after the teachers are done in the fall. So just I'll let her kind of pass that along to you. Summer school is coming up. We're going to try and offer summer school this year. You should see recommendations for teachers positions in May. We have some teachers who are interested in teaching summer school. You have to have at least 15 students in a class to be able to hold the class. There's some interest in some high school classes and elementary classes. We're anticipating holding it at Lake Village. We will also have summer feeding available, and so anyone who's interested in getting meals in the summer can also come during that time and get meals. We posted for an elementary counselor. We have a couple applicants. I think the posting is set for the next 3 more weeks. Elementary principals and I will interview the people and kind of move forward. We're kind of excited about that. I do have some information about fencing for the 3 elementaries around the solar fields, and I'll share that with you later if you like. Current option around those fields is a chain link fence, but there are a couple options to add a screen. There's an example of one out on this Morocco east side, where the contractors put up some, it was like black black netting or so that's been fixed. And then beside it is, they put plastic slats down through the side, which makes it, you can't see it all if you're coming one way, but the other way you can see. And then the third option is more of a privacy panel, plastic rigid panel that should stand at 130 miles an hour. Now, these would be 8 foot tall, so they should be able to be seen. So we'll have to kind of let them know this week what we'd like to do, but I think it would be probably best if we went with the privacy panel total to kind of.
Yes,
Yeah, I agree.
yes.
I think that's all
I had a question from a community member. They were asking if, because they've helped with junior achievement in the past, if the elementaries are gonna think about bringing that back in the fall or for the next school year. So just putting that out there that there are people who do it that are still interested and we're asking about it because they know with this year,
Yeah.
With COVID, that
And our plan is next year, like the governor had said last week or week before, his goal is for all schools to be back in person 100% of the time when we return. That would be my preference as well, that we come back in person, all of us back. And I know the principals are looking forward to that because, we know that school's the best place for kids and we really want them here. And there are a lot of programs and things we weren't able to do when we missed our volunteers, helpers, and programs like you mentioned, we have been able to do that really need to come back. So Yes.
And I told them, they asked me to ask and bring it up, so I am, and I said,
And I can
for
speak
this
for
year, no,
elementary,
because,
so I talked with,
and all the reasons why.
with junior achievement, and we were trying to do it this year because they had a virtual plan.
Okay.
But we did not have a lot of time, like when it was coming up, we didn't have staff. So it was just like, it wasn't a feasible, it was like a hold on, and then it just, and now here we are. So one of those things, but I know in the past that we've had volunteers come, and I know that they're trying to change their plan a little bit, so they can find so many volunteers, so. That might be, I know it's like a community event, so, which will also go well in our strategic plan.
Was the issue with that though because of how testing went with I-1 and stuff like that? A lot of it, the event that did, when that came with junior achievement, didn't it happen in the spring?
You could pick your times, we just usually did the spring because it takes a lot of time out of the day before.
Do board members have any reports? If not, we'll move on to recognition. First student spotlight from Lake Village Elementary is Tatum Cahill.
Come on up, girl.
Tatum Cahill is in the 5th grade at Lake Village Elementary School and was nominated by her teacher, Mrs. Alyssa Hines, and the principal, Mrs. Kristen Hankins. Mrs. Hines says Tatum is always willing to help others in the room, whether it's with schoolwork, borrowing items, or with any problems, she jumps in and helps. Tatum is also very helpful to myself and other adults in the school. She helps pass things out and can be present with any item. Tatum's favorite subject is math. She's involved in the robotics club, volleyball, basketball, softball, AAU, and 4-H. In her spare time, she also enjoys competitions and likes to be outside. And Mrs. Hankins said Tatum is a sweet little lady who always makes sure to greet others with her smile or hello. She can often be found helping her fellow classmates or enjoying time with friends. Tatum is respectful, responsible, and kind. Her calm and joyful demeanor is sure to make anyone feel comfortable in her presence. Tatum is a wonderful young lady that I am sure with her attitude, determination, and kindness for others will go on to do great things in her future to better others. Let's see if I can find her. Of course, she- And from Lincoln Elementary, we have Ryland Clems. Ryland Clems is in 5th grade at Lincoln Elementary School and was nominated by the principal, Mrs. Jennifer Neal. It is my pleasure to recognize Ryland Clems for the student spotlight. During the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to get to know Ryland. She is kind, intelligent, has a wonderful sense of humor. Ryland is a leader who is always willing to assist her classmates or staff member. She serves as Lincoln Student Council President, a position in which she has done a great job. Additionally, Ryland habitually challenges herself academically, whether it is through meticulous work, SRT points, or stretching her skills through writing. I'm proud to say Ryland Clems is a Lincoln Eagle and look forward to watching her grow and expand her skills.
Good job, Susie.
Okay, from Morocco Elementary, we have Dean Powell. Skip that one. North Newton Junior High School, we have Riley Higgins. Riley Higgins is in seventh grade at the junior high school and was nominated by her teachers, Mrs. Lee Ann Brandt and Mrs. Melinda Kimmel. Riley is diligent, genuine, kind, and cooperative. She turns in high-quality work that reflects creativity and attention to detail. She is a conscientious and ambitious student. Riley demonstrates a high level of maturity and relates well to her teachers and her peers. She is well-mannered and self-motivated to do her best. Riley's quiet respectfulness is a huge part of what makes her a great spark and an admirable role model for other students. Congratulations.
Oh, girl, hold on, you gotta wait a second.
Mr. Taylor, you want to be in this picture?
What's that?
You want to be in this picture?
You may all want me in there.
Okay.
She does, she does.
Thank you. And from North Newton High School, we have Chase King. Chase Payne is in ninth grade at the high school and was nominated by his teacher, Mrs. Karen Williams. Chase is an intuitive thinker, answering questions immediately that others may not understand without assistance. He's a great volunteer and has discovered that volunteering to act out parts in Romeo and Juliet can actually be fun. He's a great Lord Capulet. What touches me most is that his face absolutely lights up as he learns. I am very thankful to have a student like Chase in my class this year. Good job. And I'll just read this last name right here. Dean Powell is in third grade at Rockville Elementary School and is nominated by his teacher, Mrs. Sanders, and the principal, Ms. Love. Dean is one of my virtual students and has been very successful. Dean has embraced the responsibility required to maintain progress in his schoolwork while learning from home. He follows our schedule, turns in all assignments, and always participates in our Google Meets. After reading the amazing words that Mrs. Sanders has shared, Mrs. Lava said, about Dean and his virtual learning, I can only add my appreciation of his hard work and responsibility shown. He continues to do well and tries his best. During the read of the Final Four competition, he would log in and read often and add as many points to the class's total as he could. He continues to push and accomplish a lot during this time of COVID. He continues to grow, and we look forward to watching him shine for the next few years at Rock Elementary.
Okay, shout out to the band.
Next month.
Are they good? Okay, yeah. Let's make sure we bring them.
The junior
Bring
high
them to the
band.
meeting. Very excited.
Gonna recognize them next month. We'd love to have parents and students stay, but if you feel you need to leave, get home, for homework or whatever, that's fine. You're welcome to stay. Moving on to non-action.
Thank you very much.
Will do.
The action items, A, resolution for the temporary transfer of funds.
Thank you. This is a resolution to temporarily transfer $300,000 from rainy day operations. The budget for operations is a calendar budget. We don't receive the money every month for operations. We receive most of it and, half of it
About 90% is from tax revenues, and so we receive about 45% in June and then 45% in December, so it's kind of backloaded, so we have a cash flow problem. So what this is doing is alleviating that problem. State statute, we're not allowed to run any funds into the red unless it's the federal grants, which are on a reimbursement type. You have to spend the money before you get the money back. So again, this would just be until we get our tax funds. 300,000 will be transferred back into the
And then you said, when's is it June and January, you said, or June and?
It's June and December.
June and December.
You can kind of see
Don't
that.
say January, please.
You can kind of see, if you follow through on the fund report, you can kind of see what happens. Like, for example, in debt service or beginning cash balance at the beginning, there's 968,000. We're current, whoops, no, we're on. Yeah, 969,000, we're down to 82,000. So it's just because we didn't have any new revenue, we're still spending like buses, transportation, technology, I mean, it's all those things that put down.
And we greatly reduced our money that we were taking from education fund into operations, so it's only about, it's less than 40,000 right now. Where last year was about $8,000 for operations.
Okay, do we have a recommendation for the temporary transfer of funds? I have a motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? Not all of those in favor, say aye and raise the right hand. Aye. Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 4-0. Okay, B, affidavit for payment number 5, Ms. Atkins.
Thank you. This is affidavit number 5. There's only one claim, it's the performance services. It was divided up between a claim that was on the claim docket for over $1 million, and then this portion is the full portion. And architectural things that they did with the pool, so that's why you've seen it on an affidavit for payment, because when we did the lease rental, the holding company took part of the high school, so that's why the pool, the high school costs are coming out of the trustee, which is on the affidavit for payments. So we're asking permission to go ahead and pay this $239,853.50. Actually, Regions Banks will pay it for this improvement.
Do we have a recommendation or affidavit for payment number 5? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Any discussion?
So let me just, so I understand, so this is in addition to the 1.4 million, because it's coming out of the bond for the whole project, correct?
Yeah, the 5 million and stuff, part of it is here with us in funds, I think 705 is the fund number. And then part of it's with Regions Bank, the high school portion is with Regions Bank.
Okay.
So it's the end, that's the way they want it done, that's how the state law is. It's not our choice.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor, raise the right hand, and say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Okay, item C, second reading and approval of board policy revisions. Dr. Rowe?
So you have 2 policies, or actually or 3, but the third one was stricken before and should be just disregarded. So policy 6114 is a revised policy about cost principles and spending federal funds. Anything in green would be an addition, anything in red would be stricken. And then policy 6325 is procurement of federal grants and funds. Once again, anything green will be added, those in red are stricken. And then the 6655 is deleted, and you deleted it before, it somehow got its way in here. But we no longer have a technology fund, there's a school technology fund. So that's right.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approval of the board policy revisions of 6114 and 6325. Is there a motion?
Okay.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Item D, summer hours, 4-day work week. Dr. Rowe?
Historically, the board has allowed this North Newton staff to work in the summer, 4-day week, consisting of 10-hour days as a cost reduction measure. So this request would begin the week of June 1st and continue through Friday, August 6th, consisting of 10-hour work days for those 4-day weeks.
I have a recommendation from Dr. Rowe to continue our summer hour 4-day work week as we have in the past. Do I have a motion?
Yes. Oh, sorry, I heard the name.
A second?
She said you moved over.
Sorry.
Two seconds. Okay. Any discussion?
You had mentioned in there that Karen's been tracking, the savings per summer, so what is that? If you don't have that, if we could have that at the next meeting, like what is the total savings per summer since we've been doing that? And then which account is that saved out of the operations account? What?
It's operations,
Okay.
uses utilities.
How does that work with 10-hour workdays and is it principals, secretaries, that?
As well as us, yeah, they're brutal days, yeah.
How does that work break-wise, like 10-hour days? Like, I know that the state of Indiana doesn't have like a law that says you actually have to give somebody a break if it's like 8-hour shifts, but
They still take their lunchtime and break times and that kind of thing. Like we're usually here from like 6 to 4, something like that. And then, so if you miss one of those days, it counts like a 1.25 on your, so if I take Thursday out as a personal day, it counts like a 1.25 as a personal day for me. So keeping track is kind of problematic, but.
okay.
So can we put that on the agenda for next month, just so we know kind of what the savings has been? Okay, thank you.
Well, I can give it to you so you can give it as a report.
And I've seen your spreadsheet before, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? All in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. Esports Club. Dr. Rowe and
Hello there.
Boom. Yes.
Hi, most of you guys all know me. Of course, I'm a little nervous about this because I don't really like to public speak at all,
Yeah, you're
but,
We're not gonna
okay,
grade you or anything, so
No,
we're gonna.
no grades.
No matter
I
what,
know.
so.
if you wanna put that up as a, full screen, just put that up there top there, right, where to present, yeah, it'll be easier for, there we go. Okay, so, I've been approached by several students, at, North Newton, to sponsor an esports club, if we can get an esports club started. So, the purpose of having an esports club at North Newton High School is to give those students who don't normally participate in any after-school activity or sport, or an opportunity to be a part of a team and be with other students who aren't commonly involved in those type of activities, whether it's a sport or drama club, or, if they're not doing that kind of stuff, they're at home.
They're at home playing.
Yeah, home
So
doing
that
it.
will be a school.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about why this was interesting particularly to you? That might kind of give some context to this.
Well, I could, I got that in there too,
Oh,
but that's okay, I can discuss it now. So, this is, I wasn't sure I wanted to do it, I'm kind of excited about it, my wife noticed that I was excited about it. But my son Peyton graduated from Seeger Memorial High School, last year. He was going to go to college to be a vet. He constantly played video games. He was a free sport athlete. He played tennis, he played basketball, and he played baseball. So he played all the sports, was very active in sports, active outside, but he video games. Of course, we always yell at him, you don't need to be playing so much video games, you need to get out. Then in 2019-20 school year, his senior year, last year, they created a esports league in Indiana. Munster and Tipton High Schools were part of it. And along with KD and Seeger, there was 13 founding schools for this league, and basically providing an esports program into the schools. He joined that and took off with it. His esports coach took him in January to University of Michigan, or University of Western Michigan, to a high school tournament. And with his Seeger team, there's only 3 members on this, and they played Rocket League. And this video game allowed him to be introduced to several colleges up there. And while he was there, they all talked to him. He was pretty prominently talked about by the commentators on there that was there. And when he came home, he had said that he had several colleges talk to him. Or like, there's nothing ever gonna go with this anyways, because it's, he's playing video games. I'm an outdoor sports guy, so it was not a big deal for me. Didn't think that this would go anywhere. COVID hit, and spring break, which would have been spring break, that's all he had, nothing to do but play video games. It couldn't go anywhere, locked in. The coaches that were talking to him in January when he went to this thing, basically kept talking with him. Finally, the end of March, he comes running up the stairs and says, "Dad, I've been offered an athletic," and I'm like, "An athletic scholarship for what?" "To play Rocket League." And I'm like, "Okay, so what does that mean?" He says, "Davenport University out of Grand Rapids, Michigan has offered him an athletic scholarship." And I did not realize that. I knew I had heard that esports was getting scholarships, but I did not think they were athletic scholarships. And it's an actual part of the athletic department. And he has to follow the athletic guidelines. So he's got study tables he's got to go to. He can't miss a single class. He can't miss any meetings that he has. He has to. It's just like if he was playing a regular sport. So it's just something that was kind of really hit me. And he changed from being a veterinarian to going to play video games and going into computer science. So now he's kind of following Dad in the technology field, and he's loving that part. He doesn't love the college atmosphere right now because of the COVID situation, but he does love that. So that is why I was asked by the students. Several students know me because of being the IT guy at North Newton. I'm in the library a lot when they come in. And they know about Peyton or heard about Peyton, and so they asked me, would you sponsor the esports club? And after talking with my wife and everybody and friends about it, they said, "Well, you should do it. It'd be good for the kids, be good for the school." It also goes with what Dr. Rowe has asked us to do. So in teaching a tech class, so it's all been kind of exciting for me at this point. So now that I started that, now I'm kind of messed up on my presentation a little bit. But esports is, what is esports? It's become very popular, especially as I just said. They go to these tournaments. It's gotten very competitive in the United States, and it's not just high school, it's colleges, there's even professionals, and of course, so that also goes to the kids are still playing games, video games. And so with esports, they're not just playing video games. There's things that that we need in that sport. There's commentators, journalists, there's data analysts who go and see what kind of data they're gathering about the game or web developers, graphic designers, even event organizers. So when they're trying to do a tournament, a lot of high schools here in Indiana are trying to start having tournaments that are just weekend tournaments. And they gather all the either community kids or school kids, other schools, and just provide a great big tournament. Of course, obviously IT specialist that helps with the technology that goes with all
But chess is one of the games too, right?
Yes, chess is one of them, definitely. That's the one. Here's a video. You can go ahead and play this.
A new sports hub on Butler.
It's out of Indianapolis.
This is part of a growing trend. This space will be designed to hold the new esports and gaming lounge. It's becoming one of the most popular industries, and schools across central Indiana are taking notice. This report tonight from our sister station, WTTV.
The esports industry has risen so quickly that schools and businesses are finding new ways to keep up.
Esports has definitely kind of made its name already.
Adam Prudy and his team at Player One in Carmel are big esport gamers.
It's kind of an escape for anyone, right?
And they're not alone.
Esports is getting a lot more attention than some of the major sports like the NFL, the NBA, just by itself.
High schools, universities, and businesses across Indiana are investing. In fact, experts call it a billion-dollar industry. Prudy says there's a reason why.
It's all inclusive, which makes it, open for anyone to be a part of esports in some capacity.
Anyone at any university, they're nearing the completion of a new esports and gaming lounge on campus. The Butler esports team will practice and compete in the space. But that's just the beginning. Butler has plans to add a much larger 7,500 square foot multi-use space that would feature 50 gaming PCs.
We're all the eyes. So there are a lot of schools, the military, lots of groups are using this now as a recruitment tool.
And a team of Kokomo High School students will compete against 13 other Indiana teams this fall in the state's first season of high school esports. Prudy says it's not just about the competition.
Whether it be live production, computer graphic design.
It's about the opportunities that reach much further than the game.
Kids that are 16 winning millions of dollars playing a game like Fortnite. And examples like that are what's inciting this youth. What Butler's trying to do, and a lot of these collegiate programs are trying to accomplish, are essentially just a pathway for these kids to go professional.
And that's where it's all inclusive. So it's not just boys. It's not not athletic boys. They don't have to be. It's not just girls. This next slide shows, it's just basically the statistics about kind of what they made in 2019. Was over 900 million at the end. And this past year, it was expected to be 1.1 billion is what the money is going to be, and in 2022, it's expected to be into like $1.62 billion is what they're expecting that it's going to be by these esports. And then people are watching all over the place. Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. And then, of course, as I said, they're played by all age groups. Basically, about every kid's played a game. About 80% of every kids played some type of game, whether it's a mobile phone or a console game. And I think they said 8 and 10 have had a console at home of some sort. So, and also with the esports, they learn 21st century skills, STEM too. So they become leaders. They collaborate with each other, just like being part of a basketball team or a football team. You're still got to play together, learn to communicate with each other, and build on there. And most average students who are majoring in a STEM type of related field, they're also too. And then again, why esports? With esports, we reach a wider variety of students that can participate in school activities that other than other school activities. So they're not participating in those other sports or events, they'll be able to participate in esports. And we get them out of their comfort zone. They don't stay at home. Instead of being at home playing a video game by themselves and talking on a headphone to other people across the nation that they don't really know, and who knows what's on the other end. Sometimes it can be dangerous. But with this environment, we're getting them together to be at least around other students that have a like-minded interest, and maybe get them out of the shell and that they can be a little bit more involved with other students.
Did you mention that they just play usually just one game, so they play one game and they each have different parts of that game, but they're playing as a team on that one game, they're not just coming to the room and just playing their own.
Right,
game all over the place.
with our esports, well, with the Indiana esports, it's only gonna be, there's a, Ison, which I'll explain a little more on it, but they won't be playing just, coming to a club and playing a video game every day. Different games or whatever, just to play. It's gonna be treated like a varsity sport and a JV sport. That is like one of the goals that we would like to do. Carmel, Noblesville, Tipton, several other schools that are involved in this use it as an actual athletic sport. Like they do give athletic letters to those who participate in varsity. I guess we consider the varsity spots. So they would come in and they would pick a game that would be offered in the league that we're participating in, and they would have to practice that game, come to our practices, practice at home, and we will be going to competitions, but they will be doing basically one game. Your son Garrett really wanting to do chess, and they play online chess, and there's a special online chess that they go to, and they get scored. And they get points for it, and at the end, they can win the state championship with that. And as it was said earlier, with my son, they can earn scholarships. There's several schools in the area, and well, all over the place actually, that are offering scholarships now for esports. These are other schools that are involved right now. There's the first one was Carmel, there's Munster, Rossville School, Seeger, KV's also got it, and then there's Noblesville. Those are just some of the big ones, our main ones. There's others, like I said, I think now that they are up to like 45 schools in Indiana now that are, and more adding every day. I joined a discussion group for ISON, which is the Indiana High School Esports Network. They were the ones that was founded to play the video games for esports. And probably about 100 schools on there. Now, some of them aren't participating yet, but everybody's in there starting to build their esports programs. So ISON, which is the Indiana Sports Network, Esports Network, as I said, they were founded basically in 2019-20, and it was their first season. It was cut short because of COVID, but there was 13 schools that was involved in that. And the goals of ISONs are gaming is for everyone. All students should feel welcome. Students are not, and be a role model for positivity in the community and provide consistent tools to keep level playing. So these are the current games right now that ISON does. Chess is one of them, Forza 7, which is a racing game. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, which is I don't know it's a fighting game, I guess, where it's one-on-one. Rocket League, which is a big one, and that's basically soccer with race cars. They drive these race cars around this little playing field and knock a big ball through a goal. And it's a three-person sport, that's the sport that my son does. And Overwatch, which is a six-person team, and it's basically what they call a first-person shooter. They've had Hearthstone, which is kind of, I can't really remember what kind of game that is. The League of Legends is a 5-player game, and it's where they take these characters and go on a map from one side and work their way to the other side and basically try to take out the flag, capture the flag type of thing.
We talked about mature games, and we wouldn't have any students playing mature games.
At this time, no. ISON has does not offer. ISON is the main league that we want to be in right now. ISON is the Indiana league, and it's growing, and it's gotten a lot of college looks. There are several other leagues, 2 big other leagues, but ISON does not have mature games at this time. They do mostly the E for everyone games, but they are looking into a few of the mature ones. Are offering scholarships for those. The three big ones are Rainbow Six Siege, and these are all kind of realistic games. That's why they're mature. Call of Duty and CS:GO. Those are they're all first-person shooter games. Those are the games that they play, but they're trying to figure out how they can do those games without causing a lot of problems with emotions and people who don't, they don't agree with those types of games and so forth. But as I said, those games are big for colleges too, so they offer a lot of scholarships for those. This is another video just of the high school esports league, which is just it's a national esports league. This is a paid.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HSEL National. It is an amazing day for Overwatch. We are looking forward to seeing the matchup today as we look to try and again see which one of these teams is going to go into the opportunity to try and clash.
And all those same kids have like a great group of friends, they're happier, their parents are ecstatic. Why wouldn't you want to give that to a group of kids that don't have it? Just because you don't understand.
Okay, yes, they're playing video games, but you gotta look past that and also see why are they playing it and what are they doing with it?
There's not a lot of knowledge about gaming out there, so people just don't know what they don't know.
Really collaborative, like a sport. I mean, it is a sport. I mean, it's new that I think it's hard for people to understand that it's a sport.
They have to develop teamwork like any other physical game does.
We gotta get involved. This is where it becomes big time. We've been working all year for this. SLP on 3. 1, 2, 3. SLP.
Thank you so very much for all of you who have tuned in and watched the HSEL Nationals. The 5 map pools today will be Hollywood, Kings Row, Nepal, Lijiang Tower, and Oasis.
I mean, it's interesting to see just how many schools there are this year and how many schools are getting out to be in the top 8. It's insane.
Joseph is our youngest, he's 17. He was diagnosed with autism at age 4. Not an excuse, he's still Joseph.
Everybody is welcome. You want to come play esports for me? Come play for me. That is just the mentality that we have in esports. All right, here we go. St. Louis Park looking for that repeat national title. The only number 1 seeds left in the tournament. And no kid does drop. Tosi is now on. Now he's feeling it. Hit his shot, Tosi. Now he's feeling it. Oh. The point of this is for people to find a place where they belong, make friends, learn discipline, learn teamwork, learn reaction to setbacks.
Triple kill coming out in favor of SLP as they now are starting to look to turn it around.
Right.
Another solid hold here with an entire team kill for SLP.
When he plays, he wins.
See if they can keep it into overtime, and that's not going to be enough. That will be SLP claiming the first 3 victories here, best of 5, and they will be going into the final.
Well, move on.
As I said, HSEL is a national high school league, and they are it's a pay-to-play league. Now, they do offer the same games that ISOM does, and they offer a lot more scholarships that you can get playing these tournaments. And you saw that one when they win, they won a $12,000 scholarship that they were able to distribute to their students that went that were part of that. They also the high school league is also they offer like a free and reduced. So if you had your school is certainly meets a certain criteria on that, then you don't have to pay for that league too. But they do offer the mature games. any immature games that I feel like right now, it would have to be discussed with you guys, parents, and see if we even want to go that route. And it may be something down the road, way future, if we do this. And so, again, it's just another avenue of getting scholarships for these kids to go to college. And so, there is another one that's Play VS. They're actually with the National Federation of High School Sports. They're sanctioned by them, and they also offer the same games as Ison, but they also offer Madden 21 football game and FIFA, which is soccer. And then, of course, those are the same mature games. But it all depends on what we would want to do, and if we can get into doing this, and we could even go to other avenues, tournaments. I want to start kind of slow, so I really want to stay with Ison, and I only want to do a few games right off the bat to actually see what kind of interest we had. I did have a call out just to gauge the interest. We had over 50 students that showed up, and so, and of course, the main ones that already asked me, and they're all real interested. Are there any questions about it that anybody would like to know?
Would there be a limit of how many students you could do this with?
Rocket League in Ison only allows 4 teams of 3. So basically that's 12. But, you know, they're not, so these students, you know, would have to, we would have tournaments our own to see, and gauge that, like how many, and it's mostly on their interest, on what they want. I didn't have that many for Rocket League. I probably had maybe 12 total students for Rocket League. Overwatch is a big one. That Overwatch game takes 6 at one time. So there's 6, so it would be, and they offer 12 plus they offer with your subs, I guess, or basically subs. Each team consists of, I think it was 10, was what it would be. So you could have almost 20 just for Overwatch for the whole thing.
And so you'd want to have probably criteria as well, it's similar to athletics as
Correct.
far as grade points and checking grades
Yes.
and those kind of things.
Yes, I want them to have the, so I was gonna say, you know, they expected to follow our already established guidelines for athletics. Whatever the date, you know, you've got to maintain good grades, and whatever code of conduct we have in place, they still should have to follow that. Basically, they gotta come to our practices. It's not like they're just gonna come in and expect that, you know, just play a video game and not have to not participate in anything. We're gonna have events on our own that they would need to be a part of. So, yeah, we just wanted to kind of be able to do the same thing like a regular sport.
So this is something you probably will have to write up. Booklet or something that what your expectations are.
Mhm. I have talked to KV, the gentleman that's ahead of their esports, and he's very excited about North Newton trying to get an esports club, because the closest one for them, I think, is Munster, and it's still a long way away for them. And they were, when I contacted him, he was very excited and thought, man, we can get together and little. The one thing that I do know that they did do before COVID started, they were traveling to other schools sometimes to participate in their matches. The matches are set up Monday through Friday for different nights for a different game. And then they're usually like about 6 weeks long, and then there's a tournament at the very end. That's actually the state tournament, which they can actually get a state trophy for the school. And each night, like Monday nights, is chess night with the Forza 7 racing, and so they would participate that night. After school basically is when and you can work it out with the schools. Other schools are everybody's real flexible with it, so it's just a matter of just staying in contact with the other schools and working out when everybody can meet to play online.
So all of them don't have, well, like Rocket League is a team of 3, you said.
Right, and we can have 2 subs on each team.
Okay, then Overwatch is a team of 6.
Forza is, I think, as many as they can probably, I'd have to look at the actual rules on what Forza is. You can have, I think it's like 5 or 6 that can race. We only have one that asked about Forza, so I told them what games. Then the other game.
And what about chess? Is that a bit more individual?
It's individual, but it's all, so the way the chess works is they get points and each for when they're for the left places that they come in. And it's kind of like a racing, like Indy car racing, you get in golf and all that, you get so many points when you win that tournament, second place, third place, and so forth. So you get, they get those points for themselves individually, and then you get so many points for the school also. So then the school would get points. So if a person comes in first on that night, I think it's like they get like 15 points, and the school gets 10. So then they add that up at the end of the year, and that's where the placings are for their final tournament, and who wins, and the school would win, and then individuals would get individual awards also.
Okay, so are you talking about 20 kids total, or?
I don't know. The 50 kids that we had show up, I am almost positive that a lot of them felt like, oh, this is just gonna be a club, we're just gonna come in and play video games and just just sit there around and play video games all the time. So I know a lot of them were not expecting it when I told them that if we do this is gonna be treated like a sport, and you gotta practice, and you gotta come to practices, and you gotta, participate, and we're not just coming to play, any old video game. We only have certain games that we're gonna play, and these are the ones where we're gonna play. So, I said, and it's going to determine on how many people it's going to be. And as it grows, it's just going to be one of those we'll see. And hopefully, if it grows, I'll also get more people to help me, and we'll see how it goes. Now they have 3, and but I think they only have about 30 kids that are involved in theirs right now, but it's still growing.
Can you talk a little about the devices and the computers and that kind of thing, and our solutions about that?
Well, so funding, we're gonna need computers, and these computers aren't like your normal computers. So these game computers are gonna cost a lot of money, and we were going to think about building some, and see what we could do with trying to get by with as little as possible. So in our other discussion with the technology, taking over a technology class, it was brought up during our meeting Friday about, from the CTE director, if he'd do anything for after-school activities and stuff like that. He did say that he could find us funding for 6 computers. So there is a possibility that he could get us computers for our ESOP program. That will also be used for the technology classes.
Because I'm all for saving money, but I'm also a big believer in if you don't equip these kids with the very best stuff, then you're already putting them at a disadvantage. Right. So whatever we need to do as a community and as a school to find what we need to get these kids the best, like with the robotics, we gotta equip them with the best stuff.
KV has done, and other schools have done sponsorships, donations, they've done fundraisers. It's a matter of, I know when Carmel started theirs, about 5 years ago, they went door to door and asked all these businesses. Of course, that's a kind of a little bit more of a better, wealthier community, so they got a lot more donations from them. But we can get donations, to go around. There's a lot of people that would want to participate in this. And I know Jasper County RNC donated several computers to KV. So it'd just be a matter of going around, see if we can get some fundraising going,
Absolutely.
donations and so forth. I do know that KV asks for $15 a student for like a fee, whatever. That's for the year. There's 2 seasons, by the way, for esports, for icing. There's a spring and a fall. So they do a fall league, and then once that's completed, they turn around and do a spring league. And it's the same, they may rotate games, bowl games, put new games in or whatever, but they do compete. And at $15, they use that money for other equipment that they might want, jerseys, fees to go to like special tournaments, like the Butler thing was happening, like they were talking about in Butler. A lot of schools, colleges are putting on high school tournaments, just like what Western Michigan did, and that's where they're getting to see the high school students. So we could use that kind of stuff like that to be able to go do that.
So how many gaming systems do you think you need to get started if you had 20 kids? Let's just.
Well, I've been basing everything off on what KV's been doing. So I've been talking with Nate Stahl there, and very close with him. And they started out with 18, 20 computers that they had. Now, we don't have any extra computers to do that.
Right.
They're down to what they have right now that they actually use is 16 computers and 1 customized computer they use for streaming. And the streaming is like the lady there on the screen, she's watching her son participate. We do that a lot. With my son, we watch his competitions online. So stream it so that the parents can watch it. And then we hopefully have some of our students commentate on it, and you kind of get that experience to be able to do that too. So most of this is all going to be student-led. We really want them to take charge of it and run it. And I've got 3 students right now that they come to me every day asking me where we at, what are we gonna do, what are we gonna get when we get started? And I'm like, well, I'd like to start now, but I'm not ready to do any competitions right now. We don't have the equipment, and I really want to look forward to the fall. So, and try and get into the Indiana high school leagues in the fall.
Be doing over the summer,
Exactly.
maybe. Is that kind of what they're thinking?
That, and they also would like to be able to start meeting, kind of help getting things ready. If we were able to get some computers, we do have a lab that's not being used, hasn't been used in a couple of years. Since we got the iPads and Chromebooks, that's one lab that's not being used any longer, and we'd like to take over that lab and kind of design it as some of these esports labs are. And that's where we would meet either during Spartan time or after school. Most of the time it would be after school, but we have some Spartan time that we would meet. And basically, hopefully, they'll be able to, we'll be able to come up with ideas. And I know that they would like to start now, but we can't scrimmage other schools right now. We can't be in a league right now because they've already started, but other schools love to find other schools that they could just practice with each other. So we'd be able to do that, and that would be something we can do right now, and it would kind of give us an idea of who's gonna do what, and allow us to build a team for next year.
So when you say like computer, so would it be the computer, the headset, all that, that like has one price when you say, because a lot of those kids
Now,
are everything.
I was making up a list of what actually for like one computer. A complete computer would be about $2,500. That does not include a headset because I asked KV about headsets. They don't want, because of, they don't want to share.
Bring your own.
Yeah, they bring their own, they're bringing their own. They use the school's keyboards and mice, but the students are allowed to bring their own. And once it's connected to the computer.
There's special ones that they're gonna want to get to.
dugout.
They're not just regular mice.
Right. The ring, and they will also want to be bringing their own controllers too. We will want to provide that. So, but yeah, basically one that I was trying to write. Now, the biggest problem we're having right now is the shortages of all the computer chips and stuff like that's going on, so prices are skyrocketing right now. So, that was about the cheapest one. Middle of the road to top of the line, I don't want to say top of the line, but top of the line is gonna be about $3,300, and we really don't need that.
To start eventually, probably, if it takes off.
Right. I didn't add, that was a complete set with a monitor and keyboard and, just a regular mouse. That's what that was. That was like a whole thing. Just the computer without the monitor. We do have some extra monitors, and some extra keyboards that we can use to get by with. But that, we're still talking about $2,300, between $2,000, $2,300 right now. Any other questions?
I think it's awesome. That's my opinion. I know my kid, I've got little kids.
That is another thing. Right now, we only want to start freshmen through high school or 12th grade. So
But it gives them something to get excited
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And there's nothing that says that we can't have an esports night at North Newton with the grade schools coming in and participating, just to,
Oh my gosh, I love that.
just to be able to see what it's going to be like and
Great way to promote your program and grow it.
exactly.
And I appreciate Terry and Ron's enthusiasm to help teach a technology class. We're taking a couple kids who might be able to take some courses and pursue a pathway. And then I know that you're really excited about this because I see a difference in you.
Well,
This is really passionate, and that's good because I think it communicates to the kids too.
I will tell
You
you,
should be excited about that.
myself, I didn't do very good in college. So I quit. If I didn't get my degree, and I quit. And I was in technology. It took me 25 years to get back into technology when I started working for Greg here at school. So, and then I went back to school and started getting all of my, I still haven't got a degree, but I've got 9 years of experience, plus the 10 years I had in AT&T for technology, and in the military that I had technology, I did a lot of the IT there for them. So I've always been part of my life. I just didn't focus on it until here in the late part of my life, and or middle part, however you look at it, middle part, I guess. But but yeah, now it's getting to where it's getting exciting again. So
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.
thank you.
I'm thinking that we need a recommendation.
We would like to start an esports class. And so, I can write this into a grant. And we'll work that elementaries, so we can put something potentially in place at some other point through negotiations or what have you. I think it's a good opportunity, as we've had strategic planning, one of the things about getting kids engaged and increasing engagement, this is another part to, not to kind of define a little bit about engagement. If it gets another sector of our kids involved in some kind of athletics or some kind of activity, then I continue to pursue that and have some very qualified, highly qualified individuals who are interested in helping us with this. I think it'd be good, it's good for our kids.
And your son could be like a guest speaker at one of the meetings. Or
Well, he
something.
gets done with his classes April 22nd. So if we were able to get started this year or this spring here to do anything, I was gonna have him come help in May. So he's already looking forward to it too, because he thought it was pretty cool. So I said, no, Dad's part of it now. So
Well, we have a recommendation from Dr. Rowe to, I guess, proceed with getting this esports stuff started.
And he will be getting a stipend, you said?
I will work on writing it. Probably not this year, because I've already had to submit my Title IV grant, but, Title IV grant pays for robotics stipends. Sorry, this is to dive into.
So, so just for this school year, but into the next
I
school
can,
year,
I
you
can
can
write
write
it
it.
as many, I can, yeah, I will work on it.
Okay.
We have a motion to,
I'll make the motion, and I'll second it.
any other discussion?
Don't be shy about asking for money. We want to equip the kids with whatever they need to get.
Yeah, if you need help planning a fundraiser, I will totally help you plan something.
All right.
No other discussion, all those in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Motion carries 4-0.
Got good news for your kids.
And thank you, Mr. Muslim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item F, Trex desk.
Lauren has spent a little bit more time with this, so I'm not to defer to her, but we have been talking about a method to pursue outstanding debt in the district. Currently have several individuals who may owe textbook rental or lunch monies or whatever funds that those are. And so one solution that Karen can talk a bit more about is the Trex program. So I'll let you kind of give mine.
Yeah, June 30th of last year, we were owed over $102,000. Most of it is textbook rentals. And then the vast majority, and then after that, it's after school childcare. Actually, food service is very little that is owed for that. It has been climbing the last couple of years, and Mrs. Wiseman at the high school, because it goes from elementary up to the high school, it seems to go the months that are owed, and she does keep sending letters to people asking for payments, so she does try to get payments, but she gets some people to pay, but some people don't pay. So Dr. Rowe and I were talking about this because it's increasing every year, the amount that's owed, and it's getting a little alarming, the amount that's owed. So we investigated a couple programs, and this Trex program is something the state passed a law in 2017 allowing governmental units to do this. And what it does is governmental units are allowed to collect money through the Department of Revenue. So when instead of a person getting a tax refund if they owe money, if the county says, well, they owe for property taxes and go through this program, then they get the money instead for the property taxes. So that's what this program does. They opened it up to schools a couple of years ago. And I talked to a very helpful person at Clinton Prairie. They've been doing it for a number of years. And they found that they have some that go to this collection through this process, but then a lot of people, when they know that something, it's going to the Department of Revenue, they'll make arrangements to pay. So they'll make payments and pay it, so it doesn't even have to go there. TREC stands for the Tax Refund Exchange and Compliance System. And what happens is the system starts in January of each year. The units, governmental units that are part of this, they'll send a file with people that owe it. The debt has to be at least $25. So you send it to a clearinghouse, and then they do matches with the Department of Revenue. And when there's a match found, a letter goes out to the person saying that you've been matched, you owe $100, say to North Newton. And you still have the opportunity to go ahead and pay that before the collection process starts. There is no fee to the school corporation itself, but there are fees to the person that owes. It's much less than we looked at another outside agency that a lot of school corporations use, and their fee was 30%, if I remember correctly, that the person ever had to pay. Now this fee is there's a $20 collection assistance fee that goes to the clearinghouse. And if the Department of Revenue is withholding the money, then they'll take 15% of the debt. So there's a 15% charge for the person.
If it makes it to the.
If it makes it a permanent revenue. I asked, like Clinton Prairie this year, in the first 3 months, they've collected over $16,000 through this process. She says a lot of people, they get the letters and they don't want to go through the permanent revenue, so they'll make arrangements to pay. And we've always encouraged people to, if they, if you can't pay everything, pay something. Make a fee arrangement, but we have a lot of people that just aren't doing anything, and that's why we have such a large debt now. I looked, I believe it was in 2000, just like 3 or 4 years ago, it was only 65,000, so it's increasing every year. We need to look at doing something to try to.
Use that to buy the computers.
Well, this is next round.
So that would go back in the education fund.
Yeah, it was actually wrong.
It was like that line item. What about after school care, then it just goes into that you have set up for that?
Yeah, there's an after-school childcare fund. So wherever the collecting amount was, it was probably just, we would probably just do textbook rental and after-school childcare if but there was large amounts. So any money that's collected would go into Ms. McKenzie. When you pay at the high school or the elementary schools, there are some fees, so there are some fees that could go into education fund. Because like art fee, computer fees, those go into education funds.
So what you're saying is if they have an outstanding bill and they haven't paid it, they'll send them a letter saying, hey, you have to pay. If you don't, we're gonna send it to the Department of Revenue,
Yes.
and then,
And then if there's a match, they get a second letter. So, yeah, it's not something where, they would just get something in the middle of the night saying, hey, we took your tax money, and didn't know it was gonna happen.
so
They're getting an opportunity.
okay.
To do this. It was a lowest cost type thing for an individual, so that's one of the reasons we're looking at that, trying to keep the cost down. And we're hoping not to really have to take many people, we're hoping that people will, you pay $25, a month, just like something, you don't have to worry about this.
And the different credit agencies I used previously would never return back the whole portion, they'd always keep a significant portion of it, so you never get back 100% of what you sent out, so if
But
you ask.
here we do. But here we do, we get everything because the person that incurred the debt has to pay.
Correct.
Fees.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is important because, the textbook rental fees or whatever, you're charging a fourth of a book or a fourth of an iPad, and the theory is, you accumulate this money in textbook rental so that when you have an adoption, you have the money to buy more iPads or more, the software to run the math program and stuff. And if you don't have that, then it's an issue.
We have a recommendation to pursue using the Trex debt collection. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Any more discussion? Not all those in favor, raise your right hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Item G, between the lines driving instruction use of facility request.
You have a request from Bruce Cunningham to use the new senior high school, room 408 for his between the lines driving school instruction. It's a driver's ed class. We don't currently offer a driver's ed class, so this would be waiving that fee associated with usage.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approve the between the lines driving instruction use of facility request.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Not all those in favor raise their hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Item H, North Newton School Corporation strategic plan with target strategies.
So we've spent significant time on our strategic plan. We've most recently met in an executive session last month to go over our action steps and identify who will be responsible when this will take place, along with some status updates. So I'd ask that you formally approve our strategic plan with targets and strategies. This will be shared with all staff as well tomorrow. Send that out.
Okay, we have a recommendation from Dr. Rowe to approve the North Newton School Corporation strategic plan with targets and strategies.
Motion to approve.
Oh, I did. Second. I had a question.
Okay. Any discussion or questions?
So when we had been at our workshop with the administrators and the board, we had talked about making sure that the teachers are aware of this. So are they aware of this before we adopt this, or are we gonna adopt this and say, hey, by the way, we signed you up for these categories, but they don't know anything about it, is my concern. Because we've talked a lot about collaborating and partnership and talking to them, not at them. So I have a big concern if we've signed them up and have not even shared any of this with them. So my question is, have we done that?
From my perspective, I've not shared the specific strategies. I'm unaware if the principals have.
I know that during some of our professional development, as we've gone through, we've talked about vision and goals at our last PD. One of the things we did was share that one sheet piece about the goals and the areas of the 5 areas that we looked at as being those essential pieces. And they know that the plan is going to be to go forward with the goals and the strategies. They haven't seen, obviously, the document with the specifics on it, but they kind of know the long-term 5-year plan and that there is one and what we had up until this point. And then knowing that those next pieces will start to involve them, other various stakeholders, things like that, but they have not actually seen that document, if that clears that up for you.
See, Mrs. Lava shaking your head, you don't
We're-
say anything.
Oh, I know the 3 of us have done that.
Right.
I know you guys have shared it some,
We,
but
during our PD, Dr. Rowe came in and talked about the night that we were here and shared some things there, but, have we signed anybody up? No.
so I guess moving forward, I would like to see them collaborated on what they're going to do. And maybe that is your intention. I'm just going back to before you all were here, being very conscious of the fact that we talked about how the teachers have done this planning over and over and over again to make sure that we're collaborating with them, they're a part of that process, and that we have those continuity books that we talked about in place so that we're not having to go back and redo this. Yes? Okay. Okay. Those are my questions.
Anything else? I just wanted to make a comment that I like that we're doing the service learning projects. I saw that as one of the targets in there, and I think that's a really good thing. We need to have it. Well, I'm sure that there has to be a point where you start and then you work to share this out. I mean, if you try to have all the employees sit down and go through this, you would never get anything done. But I agree,
But
we
you
want there to be
understand
a
me
part.
in the
Right,
classroom, that we want it to be collaborative, because the way it's gonna be successful is if we're collaborating and they feel like their input is valued. And I'm not saying that anybody says that it does not, but moving forward, I know that's been kind of one of those hot topics for a while, to make sure that everyone feels like they're part of that process.
And I think kind of the way I was looking at what we had done, there's flexibility in each of those categories. It's not like, okay, this is what you're going to do, and we're told you right now. There's
That's what we wanna
flexibility in
make
how
sure
that's.
of, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
we put that in there, so I think should work. So we have a recommendation we already have that, motion in a second. Any other discussion? Not all in favor, raise their right hand and say aye.
Aye.
I
Motion carries 4-0. Elementary student handbook.
So we have for your first submission tonight, the elementary student handbook for the 2021-22 school year. Last year, we went through a rather extensive overhaul of it. And so this year, there are not any red line items. It was mostly cleaning up some verbiage, changing some tense. It was, some things were first person, second person, third person. As a former English teacher, it drove me crazy. I had to, we had to go back in and fix that. But other than that, it was mostly updating of the dates. We feel like it's a very solid, clearly stated handbook, and will serve us well next year.
We thank you for your work.
It was,
So let's go.
it was glad of it.
I only had one thing that I had sent to Dr. Rowe, and it's just me being OCD. The Lake Village Elementary.
And then they were
Yeah,
here, yeah, I know,
If we
because
could
they were
just-
alphabetical and then alphabetical.
I figured that.
Yeah, and I saw that too.
And I was like,
We were like, I'm like, we can change that.
I was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
they were just all alphabetical
Okay,
and then
now I see
alphabetical
that.
again,
Well,
and
you did that, yeah.
so, yeah, we can.
Other than that, it looked great.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approve the elementary student handbook for 2021-22. Have a motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
I know that this also depends on what we're at in the fall, but are we still going to do, like, if we offer virtual, are we still gonna do that late start? Like we're doing right now?
So our goal is to go back, everybody in person to our regular schedule and not do delayed start.
Okay.
No other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
I,
Motion carries 4-0. Item J, junior, senior high school student handbook for 2021-22.
Okay, I'm not gonna read the whole thing to you or anything, there should be red, changes in the handbook. Those were some changes that we did make. You know, the first section, I believe, is on the dress code. Excuse me. On page 5, and we said during school hours. So again, the red is new, what we put in. The old was right below it, scratched out. Firearms, a lot of that is, Indiana code and everything like that. Out of school suspension defines that a little bit more. Expulsion, defines that a little bit more. A couple changes on page 14. Like a cell phone, if a kid gets, caught with a cell phone, they get it at the end of the day, the second offense thing, the parent thing comes in. Other than that, some dates, for testing and things like that have been put in there as well. Any questions?
Right, look down there for you guys.
No.
I know.
I don't think so. All right, we have a recommendation for the junior senior high school student handbook for 2020, 21, 22. Have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Anybody can do that. She's so quiet.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
I,
Motion carries 4-0. Item K, junior, senior high school course description handbook for 2021-22.
Okay. And I will try to answer as many questions as I can on this. If not, Mr. Coffin or Ms. Torres, they gave me a quick outline of this. you know, a lot of this, the state's made some changes, so we had to reflect to that. All the red, as you see, these are added courses, they're not subtracted or taken out.
Or some of them were renamed, weren't they?
Some of them
Maybe
were
some of the
renamed and
graduation
things like that.
pathways,
Right,
things, okay.
right. But a lot of it is just, like page 10, Indiana Pathways, that's new per the state. The one on the page to the left, page 9, if you want, that's the old. So we have the new one in there. Again, a lot of the red is like state recommended, if I'm saying this one wrong, doctor, let me know. And there's, you know, some prerequisites possibly, or things like that, principles that, before they have to take a class and things like that. So, they have worked, Mr. Coffey, Mr. Stewart's worked really diligently on this, trying to get it updated and, updated to reflect what the state wants and everything like that.
We have a recommendation for the junior senior high school course description handbook for 2021-22. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Mr. Taylor, I forgot to ask this question when you were doing
Well, it's already been voted on.
the hand.
Hey, it's been voted on.
No, it's not that. And I don't know if it's just my copy, but on the handbook, the first 21 pages all say page 1. So
Well, we can't count it, though.
I'm just gonna say if that's something you might want to check and see if they're all like that, or if mine just happened to be that way. The handbook, not the course book, but the
The
handbook.
handbook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first 21 pages of mine all say page 1.
What? I have the right
Oh,
numbering.
okay. I don't know why.
It might just be how we pulled it off, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
But no, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yours
We'll make
is
sure.
fine, yeah.
We'll make sure.
I just wanted to tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's over.
Is yours right?
No.
We just wanted to see if there was anything you could
If
talk.
we were paying attention.
Yeah, paying attention. Way to go, Pat.
Item L, resolution authorization for submission of HEA 1003 flexibility waiver. Dr. Rowe?
So last year, the State Board of Education gave schools flexibility in relaxing some regulations. One of those being the ability to count instructional minutes versus instructional days. So I can read this if you'd like, but we've had discussion with the Teachers Association, administrators, we've been talking about ongoing professional development. One of our struggles has been, we've tried to do professional development the last couple of years where we've had students do e-learning, which is allowable by the Department of Education while the teachers are engaged in professional development. Problem is, it's haphazard, it's happened probably a couple times this year. Teachers have to do double duty, they have to do the assignments, plus they're also trying to attend to professional development, which is kind of difficult. So I'll just read this and hopefully this will kind of make sense, but it's whereas the North Indiana School Corporation plans to submit a flexibility waiver to the State Board of Education to approve a waiver of the 180-day requirement for the school year as established in Indiana Code 20-30-2-3 to a school year based on instructional minutes. Whereas the school corporation reasonably expects student instructional minutes to meet or exceed the requirement of 54,000 minutes in grades K through 6 and 64,800 minutes in grades 7 through 12. So that's the minimum you have to meet. We surpassed that. Whereas the school corporation expects to track individual student minutes and growth on established learning standards and to assess learning gaps that have occurred due to COVID-19 closures and to deliver instruction to further student mastery of established learning goals aligned to a grade level mastery. Whereas the school corporation declares its official intent to provide teachers and administrators time to analyze data, assess student growth and mastery, develop instruction and enrich lessons, and further align curriculum